Well, President-elect Trump ran a campaign promising to crack down heavily on illegal immigration, a phenomenon that, among many other things, costs America tens of billions of dollars each year and clogs the federal courts much more than any of us knew. How severe is the problem? Well, our correspondent, William Jeunesse, dug up the numbers, actually went to the numbers, unlike anyone else, and joins us now from our West Coast Bureau with his report. William, thanks for coming on. What did you find?
Well, Tucker, you could argue that border security doesn't begin at the border. It starts in Washington, where policy is set. So here is the headline for this story. More than half of all federal prosecutions are immigration-related. That's 52% compared to 12% for drugs, 6% for weapons, 4% organized crime, 26% for everything else. So you got 70,000 prosecutions for people illegally entering the U.S., 63,000 for everything else, whereas just 4 years ago, drugs was #1. You go back to 1992, immigration was just 2% of the caseload, not 52%. Now, 70,000 sounds like a lot. But remember, the Border Patrol apprehended 400,000 illegals this year, so 20% are being prosecuted. Also, 70,000 is down from 95,000 4 years ago. So we're prosecuting less, not more, over the last 4 years. But this is opposite of catch and release, which many people would argue is happening to some extent today. Secondly, I spoke to the former U.S. Attorney Pete Nunes for San Diego. He said when an immigrant gets 6 months to 2 years in prison for entering illegally, that sends a message. Secondly, the real value in prosecuting is a single conviction will bar an immigrant from applying to legally enter for 10 years. That is a huge deterrent. But, of course, it's not cheap when it costs 25 grand to put somebody in prison. But none of this addresses the real problem that the Border Patrol is experiencing right now, which isn't Mexicans trying to sneak in, but Central Americans wanting asylum. New figures from the Center for Immigration Study, Jessica Vaughn, shows that the U.S. resettled 59,000 children from Central America this fiscal year. That's up 25,000 from 2015. And just last week, the Border Patrol caught, on average, 247 unaccompanied children per day. That doesn't count families, which is about the same amount. So the point is that agents right now are saying, hey, these people should not be getting asylum, but under President Obama, they're getting a court date for which 51% of the children, 84% of the families don't show up to court. Tucker?
Amazing. The talking point you keep hearing is that net migration is going back to Mexico, but you're saying really the problem is from Central America.
Yeah, about, I think it was 177,000 were caught from Mexico last year. The real problem are these Central Americans, which is costing, we'll go 2 years ago, only 64 kids a day were being caught, and now you're up to 250. That's almost a 5-fold increase. So that's the problem. So the question is, what do you do with them? That's expensive. It's about $3 billion DHS is asking for next year just for the unaccompanied children. Tucker?
Amazing. Totally changing this country, too. William, thanks a lot for that. We appreciate it. Interesting numbers.